Mike Douglas is Michigan's retirement coach.
To withdraw 4% or not to withdraw 4%? That is the question.
That is the question.
Because it was like the rule, Mike, and now here we are with all kinds of conflicting information. And where I think we'll go with it, knowing you, as long as I've known you, you're going to look at us, talk to us here on this podcast about how stop thinking about percentage and start thinking about what you need to have coming in every month.
Yeah.
Am I getting close? Am I in the range?
I hate generic rules and generic prescriptions. It just drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I hate it.
All right, let's dive into it.
It's lazy.
Okay. Well, and there's so many reasons behind lazy financial advice, but that's what we're here to pick apart, to give you, dear listener, dear viewer, some ideas, things Mike wants you to know about, and some action items to work on when it comes to your retirement plan and how to do better than just siphoning off 4% annually of your savings. There are strategies you can implement that could give you more than 4% every year. How about that? How about you take that same amount of money and you can get more than 4%? That sounds good. This is Certified Financial Planner Mike Douglas. I'm Heather Branch, here to ask Mike about a lot of the things that we hear and unpack them on a little bit more of a micro level. This is a podcast, so there's only so much information we can give. As you also always talk about, every plan that you create at Life Plan Financial Design is different. So in some essences, I know you hate blanket advice, but we have to do that a little bit here in this space.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing you can do as a service to people is to eliminate misconceptions.
Okay.
And eliminate propaganda.
Yeah.
And eliminate bullcrap answers that make it easier to get clicks, likes, subscribes, whatever else, or sell. Used to be get people to buy the newspaper. What you need to do is understand that we like getting advice from famous people because it's like, oh, well, that's what they said.
They said, and also they're rich.
Right. And not understanding the level of SEC compliance they have to go through on the back end to give generic financial advice on the air, which means it has to be vanilla and can be taken a whole lot of different ways. Like you can't take a national radio show like financial advice as gospel for your situation. You have to understand that they're talking to people all across the country with completely different costs of livings, completely different inflation rates, completely different everything, and saying this should be okay for most people, rather than sitting down and doing a really detailed analysis of your life and your goals and building a specific plan out for that.
Right.
So that's what drives me crazy about it. I do feel like it's lazy, sometimes on the consumer side as well as the producer side. So not just the financial advisor. Sometimes it's lazy on the individual, just to say, well, if Dave Ramsey says it, I'll be fine. Or if, I know we're talking about Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman, right? Susie Orman says it, or Mike Douglas says it. So that's fine. Not that I'm in the same stratosphere as them. Right. But the whole idea just being that, well, they said it, so it should be fine. Like, no, do the work.
Ask questions.
Get some information.
Holes into the theory. Yeah.
Don't be 80 and saying, well, I should have done more homework. Don't do that. Right. Just get into it. Well,
also people, I think, one, it's intimidating, the whole financial conversation, even as smart, as hardworking as you are, the financial lingo, the financialese that gets tossed around can be intimidating to anybody when you don't understand it. So let's simplify some things, break down some things. The 4% rule regarding your retirement withdrawals, it's been around for at least 30 years. The idea, you withdraw 4% off of your savings every year in retirement, and you should, quote unquote, you should be fine. You should make it through. Finance personality Dave Ramsey, he's saying that the rule is ridiculous. He says you should be able to take out more based on a 12% annual return from mutual funds. Flip it on over to personal finance guru Susie Orman. She says that the 4% rule is dangerous and you should only withdraw no more than 3% a year if you're retiring in your 60s. So, Mike, where is the right in all of this idea? And how do you feel about a rule that is governed by percentages?
So I typed into ChatGPT, does the 4% rule still work?
Yeah.
right? Because AI, large language models are the culmination of all this information.
They gather it all.
And interpretation.
Yeah.
And here's the exact quote it says.
Okay.
I said, does the 4% rule still work for retirement? It says, great question. Does it still work? The answer is, it depends.
Oh, great.
And it's more complicated than a yes or no. Let me break it down for you. And then it gives me all these reasons why the smartest thing that we have in technology right now can't tell me whether it works or not.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But again, in 1990, when this thing came around, bonds were giving you 5 to 6% in returns year over year. And so when they build a 60-40 portfolio, which is the model the whole thing was built off of.
And wasn't the market like as hot as it's ever been in the 90s?
The dot-com boom was taking off. But again, it's actually not even about the equity side of the portfolio, because that's also where the volatility comes.
Okay.
It's like the fixed income side. So in a 60-40 portfolio, 60% equities, 40% fixed income or bonds. The equities are the opportunities. The bonds or fixed income is the lifestyle.
Got it.
The lifestyle side, like the stuff that paid your bills every month, was paying 5 to 6%.
Okay.
Historically. So if it's paying 5 to 6 and your equities are doing 10, 12, 14, well, then now over the next 30 years, you can take out 4% and be okay, because this underlying safety or safer position is giving you 5 to 6%. Well, now bonds are giving you closer to 3% in return year over year. So my safe money is giving me 3% year over year, but my equities are giving me higher returns year over year. So my opportunity is higher.
Okay.
See Dave Ramsey, who says buy the S&P and nothing else, and you'll get 12% a year. So if you live all in equities, you can take out more. If you go talk to a Susie Orman, who lives more in the safe space money side, more in the retirement side, because Dave Ramsey, most of his advice is for young families or people building their wealth.
Okay.
Susie Orman's advice is mostly for people distributing their wealth and living off of.
Yeah.
So she says if bonds are doing 3%, then you can only take out 3%. So you can see the discrepancy in their views based on who they're talking to and their typical client.
Got it.
And yet we're told just do 4% or just like, so if the rule is from 1995 and we say, does it still work today? Some rules last, some rules don't, right? I'm glad that the planes I fly on are not the 1995 model. I'd like to think that my planes are newer than 30 years old.
Yeah.
Because I like to think that my internet is better than the internet I had in 1995.
Yeah.
That my car is better than 1995. That everything in my life is better. And yet financially trusting a tool that used a snapshot in time as well as a long demographic. Because if you take, and this wasn't hastily thrown together. In 1995, when it was created, Bengen came out with this rule using the 100-year averages and using all the historical trends. There's this documentary called The Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
And this is a tangent, but I'm going to bring it back.
Okay.
The Social Dilemma, it's a movie written, like a documentary, slantumentary against social media.
Okay.
Right. And the whole premise is that social media is bad for kids, which again, I typically agree with. The Social Dilemma.
Okay.
But in that, there's the guy who monetized Facebook. He was working with Mark Zuckerberg on how to monetize Facebook. And these guys who are the original creators of Instagram. None of them let their kids use the very companies they created.
Wow.
They don't let them use it because they say, yes, it was built with good intentions, but the way it's evolved is not good for people at certain ages. So even though there's no age restriction on a lot of it, we don't believe it's healthy or good or beneficial for kids under certain ages. And it doesn't necessarily work the way it was originally intended to because the machine has run away from itself. If the people who built it say it's not good for their kids, then why would I allow my kids to do it, right? That's the premise of the movie. The way it was constructed, the rule of 4% was designed around mass information. It's an economist, not a financial advisor. An economist who doesn't sit with clients built this principle on financial and economic data, which is a great thing to use in your portfolio or in your tool belt as a financial advisor saying, all right, well, then maybe if we start with the 4% draw and use your numbers, does that work? Well, for most people, it does or doesn't. It just depends on their situation. But when I sit down with someone and I say, is the goal to die with more money than you ever lived with? Let's start with that. Do you want to die with some huge nest egg that your kids win and you lost because you didn't go travel, but they get to now? Or do we build a model that says, listen, I'm going to spend this money. I'm going to do all the things I've dreamt of. I need to account for the taxation. I need to account for estate planning. But there's a way of making both work. If my equities are going to do better than Bengen planned on, and my bonds are going to do worse, how do I build that model? Well, if Susie Orman says live on less because of 3% bonds, I don't like that either. So again, down to the individual, how do we make it work? Don't take generic advice like that. I do think it's valuable to get the voices of people, but understand that if Dave Ramsey's core belief is invest in the S&P and you'll be fine because it earns 12% year over year, he's suggesting that a 65-year-old watches their portfolio drop by 30% and doesn't worry about it. Or 53% from 2007, October 15th of 07 to March 2nd of 09, when the market dropped 53%. His suggestion is that as a retiree, you let it drop and you're okay because over the next 10 to 15 years, you'll make it back. That doesn't fly at a conference table with a client. I promise you that. You're also taking Susie Orman, who says, now that you're retired, live on 3%. Take a significant pay cut in retirement, potentially. Mm-hmm. Now, she's got really good stuff. I like a lot of what she says about, certain types of annuities and the way she communicates things. However, you have someone who's telling you because bonds are bad, you can only take out 3% to live off the rest of your life. That way, your financial chart looks like this over the balance of your life. Like, here's you today, and here is you 30 years from now with more money than you've ever had.
Yeah.
That's stupid, too.
Yeah.
Instead, what I want to do everything I've dreamt of doing and do it in a way that's responsible from a tax standpoint, a life planning standpoint, an estate planning standpoint, a longevity. I don't want to run out of money in my 90s or 100, but at the same time, I'm not willing to die with regrets that I didn't accomplish things. It's a very specific plan. Retirement planning is very individualized. And if you're listening to national shows who give generic advice, take it, read it, digest it. And, my father-in-law always says, eat the hay and spit out the sticks. And I think that's probably a good way to think about it. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the advice, Dave Ramsey. Thank you for the advice, Susie Orman. I need to work with someone specifically who understands who I am. I'm not calling into a show to get chastised by one of these people. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down with a certified financial professional and or certified financial planner and hey, help me understand, help me build my life, my family's life the way we want to, where we live. Because Waco, Texas, Lansing, Michigan, New York, Rochester, all across the country, different lives, different costs, different planning. So be specific to who you are and build it that way.
Okay. So basically, more than taking it as rules, this advice that gets tossed out, what we really should take it as a conversation starter is what it sounds like to me. It's like, that's interesting. Let me look into an actual certified financial planner like Mike Douglas is, who actually specializes in retirement. Because there's two different types of financial advisors in this world. There's the folks that phase one advisors. Those are the guys and gals that help you with the growth phase. And then there's phase two. These are the men and women who help you with taking that nest egg and figuring out how to distribute that, how to create income from that. So this is the kind of stuff like, that's interesting. Let me go talk to my man or woman, my guy or gal that I work with.
Yeah.
And hey, Mike, what do you think? Because the idea of the percentage thing, that's also a common error that people make, right? They just think in percentages, or even the big number, that big dollar that we focus on the bottom of our statements. That's another kind of similar problem. We get so obsessed with that. We're not thinking about what the money can actually do for us.
Right. Yeah. We don't want to chase dreams and then never live them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, well, if this number gets to a certain point, then I've made it. Right. And you wait till 77 to make it. And now you can't travel because your body is not allowing you to do everything you should have done at 67. We want to avoid that. And at the same time, we don't want to live like we're dying in 3 years and live 30 years and then have no money.
Right.
So it's really specific. It's really personalized. I'd also throw in one more little caveat is be wary of, captive agency. Be wary of someone who can only talk to you about one thing.
Okay.
Right. Be wary of the annuity salesman who doesn't also manage stock portfolios. Be wary of the stock portfolio person who's afraid or against annuities. Be wary of the financial advisor who can't talk to you about taxes or estate planning.
Or Social Security strategy.
Yes.
That's another strategy.
Be wary of the captive agent, right? Okay. It's like if I go to a Ford dealership, I'm not going to be mad at the guy for trying to sell me a Ford.
Right.
But like our family, we tend to be GM people, not because of an issue with Ford. I grew up in Michigan. I mean, Ford and GM, they're both here. Mm-hmm. I've always trended towards GM. I just like those cars a little better.
Yeah.
But not surprisingly, my Ford engineers who are clients and wonderful people, they're always selling me on the beauty of their Ford.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then the GM people sell me on the GM. And then I leave the bubble of Michigan and I see so many Toyotas and so many other cars on the road
Kias everywhere.
That maybe the open-minded other people that aren't so biased buy for different reasons. They're Hondas or whatever.
Okay.
So I just think beware of captive agency, right? Beware of someone who has an agenda or a restrictive licensing that says you can only talk about one thing.
Okay. All right. So michigansretirementcoach.com is where you can start the conversation with Mike and his team if you would like. We're here to help you get started understanding how rules do or don't apply to you. Okay, Mike, so action items. 1, do some research. Make sure that we're talking to somebody who is licensed to work in securities and insurance and the different spaces, but also retirement planning, right? So they can talk to us about tax strategies and Social Security. Because is that
a great question is, what's the average age of your client?
Okay. Good idea.
What is the average age of your clients?
Okay.
Because if they say we have a wide range, all right, you're the jack of all trades, master of none.
Okay.
You want a rule of 10, someone who works with people 10 years above and 10 years below you.
Okay.
Right? Because they understand where you've been and they understand where you're going. Okay. That's what you want.
Okay.
So if you sit down with someone and they say, oh, my average client's a wealthy 40-year-old who's doing all this stuff. Okay, great. And you're 65 and you're saying, I don't want to invest the same way as a wealthy 40-year-old. I'm 65 and trying to live off this money.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you are 40 years old and wealthy and you want a very complicated, very aggressive strategy, and the guy says, my average client is 70 years old, that's not the right fit.
Got it.
So ask that question, because the rule of 10 above, 10 below, that says that this guy knows me and my type of people and my type of money. Now, it's not the same for everybody, but it does speak to a certain phase of life where priorities shift.
Okay.
And they will understand that shift better than someone who, in the same way, I was just in New York like a week ago for a conference, and I'm walking through the city of New York, and it's so much fun. There's so much energy. Yeah. And by the end of 3 days, I'm ready to go back to the Midwest. I'm ready to go back to my pace of play, to where I enjoy being with my people. Why? Because it's just a different people. And I love New York. I think it's a lot of fun energy. The fact that I got back from dinner and was able to just walk Times Square at 1 a.m. with all this energy and everybody still feeling safe and everything is really great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But I promise you, back in Michigan, I am not out till 1 a.m. walking through the cities. Right. I am in bed by 2 hours.
Right.
So it's just a different thing.
Yeah.
And the high rise life is fun to visit, but not to live in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so finding DNA that matches, right? All that life. Okay. Imagine if my wife only wanted to live big city life.
Right.
And I want to live country life.
Right.
That'd be tough.
Cue the Green Acres song.
Yeah. But financially, people do it all the time.
Right.
They partner with someone who does not have the same DNA or identity as them. And then they're stuck in this relationship with constant frustration because why? He invests this way and I don't understand, or I don't like the way I'm losing money. But he says, hang tight for the long run, but he doesn't get me. That's tough.
What's the average age of your client?
65.
Okay. You heard it here first. MichigansRetirementCoach.com is where to start the conversation. Understanding proper withdrawal strategies for you boils down to an initial conversation and creating a plan that's customized to you. So begin that conversation. Visit us at MichigansRetirementCoach.com. We also have links posted in the show notes. You can just click there.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit MichigansRetirementCoach.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.